Hello there, lovely people, it's Alex from Nintendo Life here. Now, no doubt by now you've seen the Nintendo Direct Mini, or you've seen somebody covering it like us. And the general sort of feel I'm getting for how people felt about it on the whole is kind of... For me personally, it was alright, you know, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It wasn't perfect by any means, and I wouldn't say it was really good, but I very much enjoyed it, and I thought it was good. Adequate. Above adequate. It was good. But some people have not been taking that stance in the slightest. Some people are really annoyed, and there's a number of reasons, primarily because they weren't talking about any of the big games, and it is a Nintendo Direct Mini. They weren't talking about big games. But you needn't worry. I just want to thank Reddit user Natzor. I just want to thank Reddit user Natzor for bringing this to everyone's attention over on the Nintendo Switch subreddit. You can find a link to it in the description below. Thanks again. Basically, what they've noticed is that every single Nintendo Direct Mini, although we haven't really had that many in the West overall, we've generally had just sort of smaller Nintendo Directs that are just called Nintendo Direct. We've also had Nintendo Direct Micro, which doesn't help things. But basically what they found out is when we've had these smaller Nintendo Directs, these Nintendo Direct Minis, we have just had to wait only a short amount of time before a great, big, enormous one comes along. There's loads of instances down here, and I've had to double check some of them to make sure, and the last one doesn't really make any sense. Or at least not as far as I can tell, that was a full Direct. But we got the 18th of July 2012, and then we only had to wait until the 30th of July 2012, so that's just 12 days. We've got the 7th of September to the 13th of September 2012, the 3rd of October to the 4th of October, and it just goes on. Here's the full list here. Some of the dates are a little bit wobbly in the fact that it's things like, you know, Japan has had a Nintendo Direct Mini, and then America has had a full Nintendo Direct, so that doesn't fully add up like that. But on the whole, it does seem to be the case that we are getting a little mini Direct to look at little mini diddly things, and then we have a full Direct, a full fat, big, full sugar, lovely Coca-Cola style Direct. For bigger games. And that pretty much marries up. I mean, there are loads of bigger games that we didn't get any mention of in the recent Nintendo Direct Mini. I mean, there's games like Yoshi, which, okay, isn't that huge, but even so. Metroid Prime 4, Bayonetta 1 and 2, Bayonetta 3, Wolfenstein. There are all these games that just didn't get a single word in when it comes in here. Pretty much all the games that were mentioned were smaller indie games, which are still brilliant, ports, which again are still brilliant. There were only a few, like, you know, sort of smaller games that were announced. I think the biggest new game that was announced was Mario Tennis Aces. I'll double check that. Yep, apart from the indie titles, apart from Celeste, no, we knew about that as well. Look, I'm pretty sure the only new game that was actually mentioned that isn't a port was Mario Tennis Aces, and for a Direct, you know, mini or otherwise, that's not much. You know, the game looks fun and interesting, but is that really all that's new? I'm not convinced, and I genuinely believe that we are going to be having a brand new Nintendo Direct happening fairly soon. I mean, there are so many other things that they need to talk about that I've already mentioned, you know, things like Bayonetta 1 and 2, Bayonetta 3 coming to the Switch. There's just a lot, and more importantly, there's a lot of gaps in the schedule for 2018 that have not yet been properly filled. You know, things like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze is coming out in May, but there's still no sort of major May release. You know, I mean, it may well be that that is the one that we're getting. We've had ports in the past with the Switch as being the primary thing, things like Pokken Tournament DX. So it's not impossible that that is the main, you know, main thing for May. But even so, it just sort of feels a bit, feels a little bit wobbly, feels a little bit loose, feels a little bit incomplete. This is, of course, backed up by no definitive evidence, and it is entirely possible that this won't happen because Nintendo are about as reliable as a plumber's estimate. But looking at how the minis have happened, and then very soon after, we're getting full-fat Directs, and, you know, it's been a long time since we've had a full-fat Direct. I would not be surprised if another one came along in, you know, 3 weeks' time or something like that. You know, I'm not suggesting it's going to happen tomorrow, I hope. But give it some time, you know, a couple of weeks. Nintendo is very good at keeping the lid on a lot of things. I mean, I know it didn't happen with this, but that was all sort of sparked by the EA email and stuff like that. That was a silly thing to do. Actually, do you remember that time when there was a Direct and everyone was expecting a Smash Bros. Direct? And there were big, you know, sort of leaks saying there's going to be a Smash Bros. Direct, and then we had a Direct, and it was just like a little small Direct. I can't remember what it was about. And everyone was like,
This isn't Smash!
And then I think it was like 3 days later, we got a Smash one. I think it was 3. I'm not sure. Can I check? Yeah, all right. It wasn't 3 days, but there was a Nintendo Direct Micro, which was on the 1st of June, and then Super Smash Bros. Direct on the 14th of June. I think was that in the thing as well? It was, yeah. No, that was on the list as well. The list that I showed earlier. This one. Have a good look at it. So yeah, even in the time that I've been working in Nintendo Life, which isn't that long, you know, in the grander scheme of gaming, which is, you know, huge, it's already happened. We've had a smaller Direct and then had a bigger one. Just what, two weeks later? Was it 2 weeks? It doesn't matter. 2 weeks. It's on the chart. Personally, I'd love another Direct, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be alone in that, because who doesn't want to learn about more exciting, lovely new stuff coming to the Switch? I have heard some people say, maybe it's a 3DS one. That would be a kick in the face, wouldn't it? I love the 3DS, but can we just move on now? But anyway, it doesn't matter what I think, because it may turn out to be true, may turn out to be complete hokum. What do you think? Let us know down there in the comments. And what do you think would be featured if it were to happen? Because there's probably going to be one before E3. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you indulge in that larger subscribe button that came very shortly after that little mini one that we had, or something like that. And be sure to check out nintendolife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye bye.